Good evening. The victim of an apparent anti-Semitic hate crime in Stamford Hill has told us it was so out of the blue he didn't realise he'd been attacked. The 64-year-old Jewish man was walking to synagogue when he was punched unconscious. Today, other Jewish people in the area accused the police of not taking anti-Semitism seriously enough. Sam Holder has this report and a warning: it does contain footage of the attack.
The footage is hard to believe. A man walks up to an Orthodox Jewish grandfather and punches him so hard in the face he's knocked out and breaks his ankle. It's so sudden, so violent, the man didn't realise he'd even been punched. He thought he'd had a blackout. It was only when his grandson checked the local synagogue's CCTV that he realised what had happened. He doesn't want to show his identity because the attacker still hasn't been caught.
I went into deep shock, terrible pain. For the first 2 nights after I heard there was an attack, although I didn't see the footage, I was advised not to, but I replayed in my mind what I was told happened, as if I saw it, and that, it's quite nightmarish.
Police believe this man is responsible for a series of likely anti-Semitic attacks. 4 Jewish victims in Stamford Hill hit at random, including, here, a 14-year-old boy. Despite this clear photo, which appears to show him in either South Asian or Islamic clothing, he still hasn't been caught. The man hasn't been arrested. Should Jewish people in the area feel confident walking around the streets?
Yes, I would say go about your daily lives. This is a relatively isolated incident. We are very keen to identify who this person is, as I've said already.
But he could be anywhere.
But he could be anywhere. We urge the public, if you know who this person is, to call us.
Local Jewish leaders say the attack is symptomatic of a much wider problem with anti-Semitism. Those, like Shomrim, a volunteer security force, are calling for more police action.
The police need more resources. More money needs to be directed to help the police, the frontline police service, deal with these type of incidents.
How often are you seeing incidents like this?
Every day.
That's the extent of the anti-Semitism at the moment?
Yep.
It's not just physical attacks, it includes these teenagers climbing on and throwing rocks at a synagogue and racist graffiti. This year has seen a dramatic rise in anti-Semitism across London. Many in the community feel unsafe. Now there is the fear of someone indiscriminately attacking Jewish people who hasn't been caught.
Sam Holder reporting there. A murder investigation is underway after a woman's body was found in undergrowth near a major road in Guildford. The woman was discovered by a passerby near the A3 on Monday afternoon. She's not been identified but is believed to be in her 40s. Police think the murder was committed elsewhere and the body left there afterwards. At least 40 people have been arrested in the second day of Extinction Rebellion protests. The climate change activists were forcibly removed from Whitehall and brought traffic to a standstill in the West End. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
Day 2 of Extinction Rebellion's latest attempt to disrupt London, and Whitehall was brought to a standstill. Activists parked themselves in the road outside the Treasury, forcing traffic to be diverted. Some chose to chain themselves together, so-called lock-ons.
There's pipes inside here, and we've got chains around our wrists, and there's a rod in the middle, and we're locked on here.
How long will you stay?
As long as it takes.
It's cold. You can't move your wrist or anything in there. It's uncomfortable.
How will the police get you out?
I have no idea.
But they will.
Yeah.
Climate activists from Wales took the lead on this protest. Paul was spurred into action by flooding at his home, but he wasn't expecting to be here for long.
It's possible that they'll want us gone in the next couple of hours. Yes, we'll play it as it comes, but we're prepared to stay here indefinitely. We haven't got a fixed end time.
To begin with, police appeared to be taking a relaxed approach to the disruption.
The protesters have been outside the Treasury for almost 3 hours now, and so far the police have made no attempt to move them. Whitehall, meanwhile, is closed to traffic.
But then, just after 1 o'clock, police officers were seen giving instructions to the activists in the road.
If we didn't move by 1:30, then we would be occupying this road illegally.
We're allowed to go to Parliament Square, where we're allowed to be non-disruptively protest. So, of course, it's not protest if it's not disruptive.
Shortly afterwards, the speakers on a police van began to broadcast a message.
You have until 1:30, so to cease causing an unlawful obstruction. If you do not leave the road, you will be arrested.
And that was the beginning of the end. As most protesters obeyed the instruction, specialist officers moved in with cutting tools to release the rest. But they weren't free. One by one, they were carried to police vans to be driven away.
Everyone will realise.
So look, we're ready to go. Police, you appreciate you want to have your say, but we've got other people in the van as well. We need to get in the cage and go, please.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Most of those who defied the police deadline to move before 1:30 were arrested. The operation to end the protest was swifter than yesterday's. There, police didn't start making arrests until late in the evening. This afternoon, traffic was again moving along Whitehall.
Simon Harris reporting there. The British sprinter Zarnell Hughes has spoken out following his teammate CJ Uja's positive drugs test. In a post on social media, he said athletes need two things: a clean sport and to ensure that those finding themselves under the spotlight must have a fair hearing in their case without prejudice. The pair won an Olympic silver medal as part of the 4x100 metre relay team. Uja has been provisionally suspended from competing after testing positive for 2 banned substances, but he denies any wrongdoing. In London 2012, David Weir was one of the superstars of the Paralympics, winning 4 gold medals, but in Rio it all unravelled. Failure to win a medal saw his mental health suffer, and he turned his back on track racing altogether. Now, thanks to COVID, he's back. Martin Stew has more.
A year late, but not a moment too soon for the athletes. Tokyo Paralympics is finally underway. London athletes, including Wallington's David Weir, are having to live in strict bubbles.
I'm just privileged and proud that the Japanese government have let us have the Paralympics go ahead.
The Werewolf, as he's affectionately known, has had to adapt his training during lockdown, building a home gym in his garage and using tempo rollers instead of races.
You put your chair on the back wheels and you sort of spin and you have your clock, and I've been doing Zoom calls with my coach.
This is 42-year-old David's 6th Paralympics. He first competed in Atlanta, aged 17. But it was in London where his 4 golds made him a household name. Rio didn't go so well.
We're trying to push up again in 4.
No medals and a fallout with his team led him to get help from a counsellor and turn his back on track racing. Then the pandemic kicked in.
The only reason I come back on the track was because of COVID and not having any marathons. So I needed to go and do some sort of racing, and the only opportunity I got was going to Switzerland in May.
That went better than expected, with David clocking up not 1 but 2 PBs. Despite the form though, he's not setting himself any medal targets.
I'm going to put any pressure on myself at this games. You wouldn't see any able-bodied doing 6 games in a row. You know, I'm just proud of myself to get where I've got to.
One thing he's less pleased about, though, is what he sees as a failure to build on the legacy of London 2012's Paralympic success.
We don't want it to be just a 4-year cycle, and that's what it seems to be like. The numbers of Paralympic sports have gone up. I just don't think the publicity's gone up for us.
We can all cheer on David in the first of his races on Friday. Martin Stew, ITV News.
On to the weather now. Here's Sally.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. I hope you managed to feast your eyes on some delicious blue sky and any cloud didn't get in the way. It's staying dry over the next few days. Like I said, there is cloud around, but some sunny spells as well, and no sign of any heat wave. But in any sunshine, things feeling quite nice and warm. So back to the detail for tonight. Pretty quiet outside. There are some clear spells. The temperatures again, a bit like last night, dropping down possibly to single figures in the countryside, touch warmer in the towns and cities, maybe the odd pocket of mist first thing tomorrow morning. And then a fairly similar day, possibly a bit more cloud around first thing. You can see some sunny spells then trying to get through, but we have got some cloud to the north of us filtering down, perhaps as we head through into the afternoon a bit more. And the temperatures, that said, still fairly similar to today, getting up into the low 20s. To the last part of the afternoon, you can see that cloud continuing to thicken, but it does then start to clear a bit as we head through the evening. Now, Thursday, we've got a cold front sinking south, but it doesn't look like it'll be too bothersome. Perhaps a bit more cloud around in the morning. Friday, not too bad. We're keeping an eye on Saturday, and then things looking quite good for Sunday and Monday. I'll see you later on. Good night and sleep well.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
And that is it for now. We start again in Good Morning Britain from 6 a.m. For now, though, from all of us here, good night.